I would go out to a nightclub with like a bag the size of a suitcase. I'm like, what?
I like things that are oversized to make me even small. So like a big bag. Now everything's so little, those tiny bags. I'm like, I don't need a tiny bag. I need a big bag. Yay! Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast where we have our first ever guest on Just Trish. It's Just Trish and Holly Madison.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so honored because I feel like you do like a few podcasts, but not a lot. You're not one of those people that like hop around to podcasts. You're very selective on like where you go.
Yeah, not a lot at once, but if it feels like a good vibe, I'll do it.
I'm so honored because we met before in my car doing McDonald's, and I felt like I was like interviewing you then. So I was just like, this is like a proper interview where I can fully ask you the questions.
Yeah, it was a good little interview though.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It was fun.
I literally came home and like I was going to tell you, I was like literally crying because I thought I like blew it. I was like, I am too much I fangirled so hard. I like was just talking a million miles a minute. I don't know. I was just so excited to see you. Now I feel more like relaxed. So sweet.
Yeah.
Because you've been so cool. Like afterwards, I was like, okay, she doesn't like hate me or think I'm weird or anything. But we are matching today, which is another reason.
Yes.
Why I love Girls Next Level. You guys, literally the best podcast ever.
Thank you.
No, I mean this so sincerely.
So
I feel like all your guys' like background stories and stuff is so much more interesting than the actual show itself. Because the actual show is like fun, but the background, whose idea was it? Who like was like, we need to do this?
Well, I started doing reaction videos on YouTube because people had requested it. And I hadn't watched the show since it came out. So I'd be rewatching it and then I'd be like, wait, what happened there? Or, oh my God, I forgot this happened. So I was sending Bridget like the voice notes from hell. You know, when you have that one annoying friend who's like sending you voice note, and you're like, what the fuck do I have to listen to? And I'm like, do you remember this? Or how did this go down? Or what was this? Or I forgot they fucking did this and shit like that. Yeah. So we would get into these long conversations and I'm like, this should just be a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you just were like, we're going to do this? And did anyone approach you or did you guys just like start it?
No, we just started it. We found a company that sold our ad space for it, but everything else is just completely like self-taught and self-done. Like we don't have a producer or anything. If you can't tell by our janky videos on our Patreon.
No, well, that's the thing. You have a whole Patreon and stuff. And I'm like, who's doing the business behind all this? And it's just like you
just
girls.
Us, yeah. Totally just us.
Blows my mind because it's so hard to start a podcast. Like same thing with us. We just started. I'm like, I don't know anything. We'll just like build it in our house. But yours are so good. You have the ads. You have the good audio. You edit all yourself.
Yeah.
Which is like, you taught yourself that too?
Yeah. Everything was self-taught just from that. So.
Oh my gosh. And you like, so when did you start doing like social media? Were you always doing it? Like were you doing it in the mansion, like MySpace and stuff?
I had a MySpace, but social media back then really wasn't what it is now. I feel like I was never on YouTube until like 3 years ago. So, there wasn't much to do on MySpace. You just kind of rank your friends and post did we even post? Yeah, there was a gallery.
Yeah, like digital cameras.
Yeah, and then you mostly like build what the site looked like.
Yeah, and you could put like songs and you could do blogs. Were you a blogger?
Not really.
So you didn't because I would think being in the mansion, you'd have so many fun like blogs and videos and.
You know what? It should have been like that. Like I should have started a YouTube back then and just done, but I just wouldn't have thought of it. You know, I was kind of in this mindset where I was so scared to go against the grain. Like we weren't ever allowed to do like any press on our own or anything. So we were kind of in this bubble. Yeah.
When were you allowed to start? Because you guys, was it the show that you were allowed to start doing it or no? Still then you had to be like.
Even before the show, there would be like little press opportunities here and there, but it was just like me giving a tour of the mansion to somebody or me supporting Hef and standing next to him. So it was very scripted and it was very much like what he would want us to say. And we weren't allowed to like have our own PR or our own like management or anything like that. Even during the show, it was all like PR that Playboy would set up. So
really?
Yeah. So there wasn't much expressing yourself.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. So when you would go in, because I remember the first time I ever saw you was on Cribs. I just remember like you stood out and you talked about this too, because you stood out because one, you had like the bra, you had this like sparkly bra and you were like, I loved it. I was just like, oh my God, I want to be her so bad. Aww. But you also had the short hair and it was very like Marilyn, but you said like Hef was not into that look.
No, he hated it. I thought it was safe to cut my hair because he'd had a girlfriend before I lived there who had short hair. So I thought this isn't against the rules as long as I'm blonde. But he like freaked out and hated it and womp womp.
That's so crazy because you looked so pretty. I love that you would always like go again. I feel like there was an era where people kind of just like dressed how they wanted. I feel like it started with like you, right? Like you weren't just looking like everybody else when you guys would go out. Like you would have the what was it, the space buns, the Leia buns. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, I love that. Everyone else being so glam. And you're just like, Leia, blonde Leia.
Well, I love doing like kind of corny fun things. And now it's a thing. Like everybody cosplays all the time. But back then it wasn't really like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you went to the Renaissance Fair as Aurora.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so iconic. I want you to come back during Halloween because I want to be Aurora for the pink set. And I was like, you should be matching
costumes.
Auroras.
Yeah, for sure.
I just thought that was so fun. I was just like, okay, so I love Girls Next Level. I was like watching it. Or listening to it and watching it because you guys do both. I was like the most shocked because I'm like, okay, Playboy will be just like a little section of this interview because
I don't care.
your whole podcast is Playboy and like you talk about it on like Call Her Daddy, which I love. I love all those interviews. But I was like most shocked, and I feel like I wish you guys would have talked about it more on Girls Next Level because I feel like you mentioned it for a minute was like the body dysmorphia that you had, and you like talked about it for literally like a few minutes, and then Bridget like kind of got quiet, and then you got quiet, and then just like changed the subject, and I was like so curious because I know you talked about body shaming, like you talked about Audra and the bunny suit, but you were like, you and Bridget both were like, yeah, we were like supposed to be like the ones that were curvy or fat because you weren't as skinny as like kind of curvy, I guess was the word you guys used.
Yeah, it's so strange looking back on it because there's really not much of a variety in the way the three of us looked. But for whatever reason, we were always made to feel like Kendra was the only one with a good body.
That's crazy.
So it's so weird. And with Bridget, I think the reason we stopped talking about it so much in that episode is we get into it more with future episodes coming up. Like there's the episode in season 2 where we do the workout video. And that one, they really put Bridget into a corner where they're really focusing in on what she's eating and trying to make her look like she's a quote unquote fat one and stuff. And it's just crazy the way they would categorize people back then and kind of make us feel like, you know, we really had an issue.
Yeah,
and it was just nuts.
That's but was it, were you feeling it from the inside? Because like on the outside, I never saw it like that. So you were feeling it from like producers, Playboy, like Hef, who were you feeling it from?
Definitely Hef. He liked his women very, very thin. Even, you know, to some extent, just the whole culture up there at the mansion. Everybody's beauty standard was kind of, oh, a woman is supposed to be really young and really thin and really in shape. And if she's not in shape, she's not doing it right. That was kind of the feel you got from people in general, just in that whole society. And also the show, especially the way they treated Bridget over the seasons.
It was crazy how they would like highlight that. The other thing is like Kendra was like very young. Wasn't she like 20 or something when she did the show? So even like a few years age difference between 20 and like 24 is like a huge deal. And like your body changes so much.
A big difference.
But hearing that, I was just like, I remember, and I think that's why I related to Bridget for a long time because I remember they portrayed her as like a curvy one that would get Arby's, you know, or like, oh, now we can splurge. And I was like, and like looking back so thin, like all of you, like legs so skinny. And I'm like hearing that or hearing her and hearing you say like, you know, curvy or whatever. It's like, that blows my mind. I'm like, who was telling you guys that? It's so weird. I guess the media back then in general.
Media and just society in general back then, but also it was way more concentrated in the Playboy world.
Yeah, like if you were just a little curvy, because the Playmates got really, really skinny, like towards the end, I feel like. I mean, I love it. I think it's beautiful too, but it was interesting to hear that. I was like, oh my God, how could you ever think that you were like curvy or anything? But then you talk about food a lot.
We do love food.
When you talk about Playboy Mansion food, which I never had. I've been to Playboy Mansion twice, and like I never wanted to eat because I always felt fat. And like I said, the second time I met Hef at the mansion, it was like the last time I got invited back, so I guess I was like too fat. Even though I was like 140 back, I was like way littler now, but I never got invited back. But I heard the food. You guys always talk about like you talked about the Christmas episode or the Christmas decorating. You get like chicken tenders and iced tea.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay. First of all, I did not know that you guys just like on staff like chefs 24/7. So did you just get to eat whatever you want whenever you wanted?
Yeah, you can literally order whatever you want. Just press 0 at midnight or 2 in the morning and order whatever. And as long as they have it in stock in the kitchen, they'd make it for you. I think the only rule was you could order whatever you want as long as they didn't have to like drive off and go to the grocery store or something.
They just had to have it like there.
But most stuff was there. And obviously if you lived there regularly, you could put something on the grocery list or go buy it yourself and put it in the fridge or something.
So you guys were able to do that. You were able to go out and like run errands.
Yeah, during the day we could go kind of do whatever we wanted as long as we weren't like with guys or like staying out too late or working.
How did they meet guys then? You know, like the ones that like left, they would meet like a football player or whatever, and then they just like, how are they meeting them if you weren't allowed to like go meet guys?
Well, I mean, nobody was following us during the day, so we just weren't supposed to be hanging out with guys, but people would go do what they wanted to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it seems like such a dream life. Like hearing about it now, like when you like pull back the curtain, I'm just like, oh my God, it sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
But do you like look back at it and you're like, oh, that was like, do you have like more fond memories than not? Or do you have more like traumatic memories?
I have more bad memories than good, I think. But also, I was there for 7 years and things kind of changed over the years. Like the first 3.5 years were really rough and kind of miserable. Like obviously there's a lot you're experiencing there as far as like, luxury and things you had access to that you didn't before and exciting things. And those are all great. But overall, I was feeling really bad just because it was a bad relationship and bad interpersonal dynamics with the other women. And if you're miserable, you're miserable. It doesn't matter what kind of glamour and fun you're surrounded by. But when it went down to just me, Bridget, and Kendra, and we started doing the show, things changed a lot. Not only in my relationship with Hef, but the three of us got along for the most part, and we had fun opportunities because of the show. So even though I have things to complain about the show here and there, overall, it was so much better. So it's kind of like looking at like two different eras.
Because you were like, now you just got to be like your own person. And you kind of like friends. It was like not just the mean girls.
Yeah,
and
and we made friends with all the playmates that came in. So it was a really strong, nice community as far as that went.
Yeah. So the show, also you guys became like famous. You're right. You were more famous than, I think more people would rather meet you guys than Hef at that point. Like, right? Where more people, I would assume, come to the house and want to meet you girls. Like
it was, people were excited.
Because I remember I went up and you weren't there. And I think this was like, must have been right when you left. It was like 2007 or 2006. When did you leave?
I left in the middle of 2008.
2008. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it was like around that time. And I remember I came up and I was so excited, like, and like nobody was there. I think, I don't know who was there at that point, but it wasn't you girls. And I was devastated. And then I was just like, oh no. It's just like, and it was a lot of old guys. I was surprised. Like I went to like a Fun in the Sun and it was just like a lot of old guys. I didn't even know, like not famous guys, just random old men. And I'm just like, this is not the vibe that I thought it was. It was like not Girls Next Door at all.
Yeah, he definitely didn't want like younger men out there poaching the women.
It was weird. It was just like a weird vibe. It was like really young girls and like really old men. And 100%, I'm just like, this is not the fun like sorority house that it seemed to be. And it just had like dark energy. I just remember that too, like the main house.
Really dark energy. I think, we were lucky during the Girls Next Door era because we were able, the three of us girls, we were able to create something and create a bond with the playmates and push positivity in there that I didn't experience before.
And so then you were like, when you left, because you're really big on energies and like Wiccan and all that stuff like that. Like, do you think when you left, there, like the dark cloud came, or was there a dark cloud before? Like, when did it? Because it seemed light. Like watching the show, there was never bad energy. I felt like ever. Or did you feel it filming it?
I mean, there was still like some underlying bad energy there during that era, but the show was never going to show that because it was like one of Hef's closest friends was the producer, and of course they wanted all positive on Hef and Playboy, and also like I don't think was really interested in showing like a dark drama or anything like that, or what was really going on, or what are these girls really struggling with. One of the producers, or not one of the producers, one of the network's executives said it's supposed to be the 3 Fs: fighting, fucking, and funny.
What?
Yeah.
Was that oh my God, that is like not the mantra I would think with that.
Yeah, right. Well, this was in the very beginning, and this was a network executive who I think was maybe on the first 2 seasons, and then they switched out to different people.
Where was the fucking at?
I think anything like sexy like falls into the fucking.
Right. I mean, not that I'd want to see that with like Hef or anything. Like when you go into depth of it after the show, like when you've gone on interviews and stuff like that, I literally like sick to my stomach when I hear about it. Because you don't, in my head, we would watch it. I watched it with Moses for the first time a couple years ago. And in my head, I like don't think of it as like a sexual. Like he just seems like he wants pretty girls around and like that's it. He doesn't. So when you talk about it, and you guys had, I think it was like episode 2 where you guys talk about being like in the bedroom, I was like, and nothing like, it not sickens me in a bad way because like 100% I would have done anything to be in that shoes, but it's like, it's just like him. It's just like, so like, why does he think these women want to be with him? And
yeah, and just the toxicity of having to be in the bedroom in that situation with girls you don't get along with who are like talking shit about you right there and then when everything's happening, it's just like, ugh.
That gives me like chills, like just the fact that like someone like hates you and then sees you like naked and vulnerable.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Would you ever hear about people talking shit? Because you all have like beautiful bodies. So what do they say? Do they talk shit like in the moment after? Like
you would kind of hear little things like people talking about each other, and it's like I would hear somebody talking about somebody else, and I know if they're saying that about somebody else, they're certainly saying it about me when I'm out of earshot. It was just gross.
Like bodies about bodies,
or just like what people were doing or things like that.
Oh my God. And that's like, at that point, you're all like share a bond of like doing this. And like, again, like I would have done it in a heartbeat, but it's also like, you're all there together and it's kind of like trauma bonded because you all have to do this thing that obviously you're like not into unless you're like on drugs or whatever like that. But maybe you are. I don't know. And honestly, I remember I was at an era where I wanted to be with like someone that was like 80 and I tried and like it just did not work out. And he wasn't Hugh Hefner, that's for sure. And he wasn't playing, what was it, Mel C you said?
Oh my God. The Mel C song. Oh, so weird.
When you were talking about that, I was just like, oh, that song's everything everything, but I do not picture that as like a
Yeah,
sexy
it's so
time.
random, but it was always like the first song you would hear like blasting from the stereo when you would go in. So it's like burned into my brain.
It's so weird. That whole like era is like so bizarre. It's such a time capsule though.
It really is.
It's like, and all the stuff you have, I think you said that you keep like everything, right? Like everything you had, the bra, like every clothes you wore, every bunny suit.
Yeah, all the costumes, all the like special things I wore on the show. I don't have any of my casual clothes like the t-shirts or like the Forever 21 sweaters I was wearing in interviews, which now I wish I would have saved.
They were so good.
But back then it's like it's casual clothes. You're wearing it so often, you're washing it, it gets holes in it, you throw it out.
Oh man, those were good though, your casual outfits.
Yeah, I like the casual outfits.
But you saved like, what are you going to do with that? You do like a museum? Are you going to give it to your daughter? Like,
I mean, my daughter will definitely get it. I don't know if I'll do anything. My dream is to do like another house. Did you see that episode of the Home Edit where they build the house for Nashville? Not build the house, but Reese Witherspoon has a house in Nashville and they build out her closet. So it's like a display of like her Legally Blonde clothes and like her award show dresses. And there's like a little Chihuahua doll with the Legally Blonde. It's like a cute display.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to do something like that.
Where would you do it? Would you do it here in Vegas?
Probably Vegas, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm surprised they haven't had like a Holly like museum there because there's so much Vegas. Seriously, like when I think of Vegas, I think of you like 1,000%. And then you have all your stuff on display because there's some like random museums in Vegas, like the most random, like Kiss has a museum, like the most random things. I'm like, nobody wants to see that. People want to see like a Dollywood, but yours would be like, well, Hollywood, that would be yours.
I'm going to Dollywood this fall for the first time. I'm so excited.
Are you going to go by yourself or are you going with?
No, my friend Josh is celebrating his birthday by like getting a cabin down there and he like invited all his friends and I'm like, I've never been to Dollywood. I'm so excited. I
haven't either. Is he perform? He's not going to perform down there. He's just going for fun.
No, just for fun. Yeah, just for his birthday.
I love Josh Strickland.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I love that you go everywhere to see him because he was in Tarzan recently. I'll have him on the podcast. I love him. I could do a whole interview about him. His voice is amazing. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's so fun. And he's going to Dollywood for his birthday.
Yeah.
So excited. Because you guys went to Disney together too, Disney World.
Yeah, well, he performs for the Festival of the Arts at Epcot every year. So every February I go and do a Disney World trip.
Oh, that's so fun. Do you miss performing?
That's awesome. I mean, I do miss being in that show because it was so special and it was exactly what I wanted to do. And it was so fun to work with all the people I worked with. And today, like with my kids and everything else I'm doing, I couldn't keep up with like the regular schedule of that. But for during the time period I was doing it in, that was like the perfect job.
Was that your like highlight? To me, that's a highlight of me for you is Peep Show. I'm like, that's cool.
It was just such a fun time. Yeah.
And you're like the only one to have done, right? I mean, there was, I think Claire was another like showgirl, right? Claire was her name? I can't remember. I remember she was on your show. That's how I know these people. If they were on your show, I know. But no one else has really like done that, like done like superstardom, like Vegas highlights, like all that stuff like that.
It was really fun and really special.
Would you do it again if they asked like for like 6 weeks?
Well, it was a topless show and I don't know. I think
you want to do it.
Probably not. Like, not that I think there's anything wrong with being topless, but sometimes, or if other moms want to be topless, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think for me, it's maybe not the time.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I know. I went back and forth when I became a mom too, because I love naked pictures. I think naked pictures are pretty. I think being naked's beautiful. Like, I love Vegas shows where they're topless. Like, I think it's like so pretty and I feel like it's tasteful. But I went back and forth with it too, because I'm like, is this weird that I'm like a mom now? Like, I won't show my bottom half anymore because I have a C-section. And two, it just like feels like weird. But I go back and forth with it. I don't know.
Well, you have plenty of time before she gets old enough to be on the internet to decide what you want to stop doing or kick off or whatever.
So was it like more you just like wouldn't want her to see that now?
Yeah, or I think a lot of other people in my life would have a problem with it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if people are gonna make fun of me or bully somebody else on my behalf, there's an archive of things I've done. Like, if somebody wants to pick on somebody, they're going to do it. Like, unfortunately. So.
Well, yours is always legit. You're always like Playboy. I feel like with like OnlyFans now, it's like just like the most random, like candid stuff like in your house or something. Like, I feel like Playboy is very beautiful. Playboy's very interesting. They reached out to me, I think like right after I met you, but it's so different now. They're like trying to compete with OnlyFans, I think.
Yeah, it's like an OnlyFans type platform.
Yeah, they're not run by the same people though. That's like a completely.
No, somebody else bought the company, so it's completely different.
It's just like a company now. It's just like OnlyFans or something. Yeah, they were like trying to get me to like compete with like OnlyFans, like, oh, post only adult content on our site. And I was like, oh, I thought it was like something glamorous. I was like, oh, Playboy. But they really try to like change their image, I feel. They were trying to get like all diverse, like men on the cover, like everything. And I was like, well, that's kind of good. But I don't know. I was kind of like, I don't know about this.
The Bretman Rock one was cute, where he was in a bunny costume.
That was so cute.
Like, he really wore it best, I think.
It wasn't a magazine. That was just like a digital shoot.
It looked like a cover, but I don't know if they still had the magazine or if it was digital. I'm so confused these days. I don't know what's what.
I know. I feel it too. I just love a print magazine. I just think print is so cool.
Me too. I love tangibles. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn and Capricorns are old school, but like I'm an analog bitch. Like I love tangible stuff that you can hold on to and save and
show
keep.
it. Yeah. No, that's what was so special. And all your guys' covers were so special. I have them in my upstairs in my house. I have like all your guys' covers because it's just cool. And now they're worth so much. It's so hard to find them like on eBay.
It's so funny when somebody will tag me on Instagram and they'll be like, look what I found at the antique store. I'm like, wow.
Isn't it crazy though? It's like nostalgia now. When you guys are talking about it, I was
weird.
like the new generation, like Gen Z is like, it's like vintage. That's like retro for them, which is like, it wasn't that long ago and it doesn't look that long ago, but
it's crazy.
It is weird.
It doesn't look that long ago to us. I feel, but isn't it weird when you see something from the 90s and it's all like grainy ass footage now? I'm like, did it look that bad back then or has it deteriorated? Because I don't remember it looking like that. Like you see footage of like Bill Clinton that you remember seeing on the news when you were little.
And it's grainy.
Yeah, now it looks like ancient history.
I guess because of the cameras.
So weird.
Probably though in like 30 years, like this will look like, ancient because they'll have like some like in-person virtual
Yeah, it'll be like VR.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to have a headset.
Yeah.
You can just step into it.
Do you like the idea of that? Like AI, VR, all that stuff?
I think it would be fun. But again, like I'm an analog bitch.
Yeah.
I like tangible stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like sometimes the technology goes crazy. Like the AI stuff is wild. Like the ones where they can like make you say stuff or like the face is the deep
really
fake.
Scary. But, we've been seeing examples of it already. And I think that people are also pretty wise to what people would say and what they wouldn't. Like maybe I'm being naive, but it's a really, really scary concept. I mean, you could even go far and be like, what if somebody made a video that looked like somebody was doing something criminal and then they got sent to jail or something? You know what I mean? Like it could turn into anything. So that's kind of scary. But as far as what we're seeing now, I feel like people are pretty wise to what's real and what's fake. So hopefully that continues. I don't know.
I don't know. We can't ever tell the difference. Sometimes on TikTok, like you'll see those deep fakes. Like there's a Leonardo DiCaprio one. And I'm like, but how is that? Like, is that his actual face or it's like digital or like how are they making it? Because they'll like move and blink. And I'm just like, how are they doing that?
Yeah. And there's a Tom Cruise one.
Yes. So do they look like them or they're just.
I don't know.
That's what's freaky to me. And I'm just like, I can't tell the difference. I scroll through TikTok so much. How often do you think you're on TikTok? Because I feel like I see you on TikTok a lot.
Every day I check in.
Do you?
For sure. I don't have as much energy or time to post as I wish I did.
Right.
But, I still check in all the time. I think it's so fun.
We scroll. We scroll like an hour before bed, an hour in the morning. Like I love, and then throughout the day. I check.
You're my favorite TikToker, and I love your guys' paparazzi videos. I was telling Moses, it's so funny because you sound you have the cadence down. Like you sound exactly like they sound.
Like
it's so real.
It's the closest thing I'll ever have to a paparazzi.
It's so funny.
It's so fun. I feel like we did it before we even had Malibu. I was just like, just follow me around Target because I love the idea of being I love your paparazzi photos. Oh, the ones with the black Louis Vuitton and the like colorful monogram.
It used to be kind of fun at first because like I said, we weren't allowed to do our own press or anything. But back in like the early 2000s, you would know that there's certain places you could go where paparazzi would just hang out waiting for anybody. Like Robertson. Really? So if I was bored one day, I'm like, I'm going to go to Robertson and see if somebody would take my picture. And it was kind of fun.
No way. Yeah. They did I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now you can like call the Hollywood Fix or something and they'll like come and take your picture, which I think is so funny. Oh my gosh. So would you go just to like talk and say hi or just to have like cute pictures? Like where would you post them?
Just cute pictures. I didn't post them, but I just thought it was kind of fun to see it on Perez Hilton or something.
Oh my God, Perez Hilton. How did you like him back in the day? Was he nice to you?
I wasn't written about that much. I just kind of thought he was kind of funny. Like I took what he said with a grain of salt because you would see so much really mean shit on the internet, like message board stuff. And that would feel so much more real to me than like anything Perez was saying.
Yeah, he kind of made it lighthearted because I wasn't following him that much back then. I knew he was like huge because he was like everywhere. Yeah. But I always wondered like people who were like celebrities in the time if they like felt it or I don't know.
I think some people did for sure.
Yeah. But maybe I think he's always like nice to like girly pop, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble because I know Perez on TikTok and stuff. I had no issue with him, but I didn't know what it was like. Because also like back in MySpace, I remember was it Holly's World that you had a fan and you like gave a makeover?
Nicole 337. Yes. Yeah.
I first of all loved her. And did you like was that like an episode that they came up with or were you like I want to just do this for her?
No, I came up with it and I saw her because Perez was making videos about her and I got obsessed with her videos. I thought they were so cute. Yes. And I forget what inspired me to like do like a makeover, or was her like saying she wanted to come to Vegas or something like that. And I thought, oh, that would be fun.
Oh my God. And did you just reach out? Did you just like message her on MySpace or something?
We might have started, I don't even remember. We might have started talking on Twitter or something.
Wow.
And then the show reached out to her to like coordinate.
What a dream. Was that Holly's World?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That was like the dream. When I saw that, I was just like, so lucky. Because that's what's so cool about you is like, I'm a big fan too. And you're just so like, even on TikTok, like knowing that I'm a full fan, you were always like so supportive and so sweet. I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy that someone like so famous that you love so much would just like talk to their fans and be like real with it. I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Thank you.
And you're the nicest person. I was telling you this before. My makeup artist who has done your makeup a few times, like back in the day, she was saying like, yeah, she gave me like festival tickets, like VIP. They were $12,000 just for like, just to be nice. And she gave them to me the day of. I was like, that's crazy. You're like literally the nicest person
You're so sweet.
I've ever met. And I always say that. I'm like, she's like so nice. So sweet. We did photos before. I felt like I was a Girls Next Door. I was so excited. Would you guys ever do a reboot
Of Girls Next Door?
Yeah, like Jersey Shore style. They're back.
I just don't know what it would be, you know? Because Girls Next Door, it wasn't so much a show, in my mind, about content. I think what made it appealing was it was a show about a lifestyle before you saw other people's lifestyles on Instagram. You know, that wasn't
Right.
available. So it was fun to see like what was going on at the Playboy Mansion. And it was so fluffy and you didn't really need a lot of drama or plot line or anything like that.
That's true.
So I don't know what it would be now. I think now if we were to do something like that and get us all together, it would have to be like drama, like Real Housewives style, and I'm not into that.
You would never do Real Housewives?
No.
I love the idea of it because they're so popular. I'm like, God, I would love to be on there. But
Yeah, I mean, to all the women who want to do it and kill it, amazing. But for me personally, I just don't. I feel like just enough drama exists in day-to-day life without trying. Like, I don't want to go pursue it.
Oh my God. No, that gives me so much anxiety thinking about it. I love it because they get so popular. Erica Jane's doing like a residency now. And I'm like, gosh, like I want a Vegas residency, but it's like to be on Real Housewives, I don't know. Also just being big, I'm sure they would be like, they're anti-fat, like,
No.
like Girls Next Door. I need a fat girls reality show.
But you know what's crazy too? We were talking about like deep fakes and AI. You know, back when I was doing Girls Next Door, they would twist what you said by like Frankenbiting you. They would just chop up what you said and like put it together to make it sound kind of like something else. But it was also obvious. Like you could tell because they'd cut away from us to finish our speech, or you could tell because our voices were going like this or something.
I can never tell.
But if you go back and look for it, you'll see it. Like if I point out something on the podcast and you go back and watch it, you'll be like, oh, duh. Yeah,
I do.
Once you know. But now I have had it done to me, and I've heard other people like Christine Quinn was talking about on Call Her Daddy. They can twist what you say because they'll just take your voice from like things you've said on camera before and make it look like you're saying it. Like it looks like it's coming out of your mouth. Because I saw somebody did that to me in something I participated in recently, and I saw a clip that was used of it. And I had to I was sitting in my car and I'd seen this clip on social media. And I just felt like shockwaves. I felt like I had stepped into another dimension because I'm like, I didn't fucking say that. I know I didn't say that. I know I said all the words that they could put together to make it say that. But I'm looking at the video and it really looks like I'm saying that. So that's what scares me about doing any reality shows now.
Oh my God. How long ago was that show? Recent?
Like within the last 2 years.
And you weren't like a producer on it or anything.
No.
I feel like anymore you have to be like the Kardashians where they just like
You
get
need
final say.
final cut. Yeah, because it's terrifying.
Oh my God. Did you say anything publicly about it? Like
No, because I don't
say
feel
this-
like anyone would believe me because it looks so convincing.
Oh yeah, I know. Reality TV scares me so much. Like I was always terrified of it for that reason. I never did any like reality show where they like did that. But when you were talking about like Girls Next Door, and like I think it was one where Bridget's like, oh, I think it was the bunny one where you're talking about she was trying to get zipped up and there was a scream and it was like you going down the slide, but they made it seem like it was like her and someone screaming about this like not getting into the bunny suit. And I was like, I never would even think about, especially back then. Like how could they get away with it? You think you could sue for like, I didn't do that, like, you know?
Yeah, you can't.
But they just sign your life away when you do reality shows too. Oh, but you produced the Playboy Murders, right? And you're doing a second season?
Yeah, we're start filming next week.
That's what's kind of sad to me too, is that there is a second season of Playboy Murders.
There's enough.
That's
yeah.
because those are like also very dark, you know? And it's just like, and that's why I have to go back again to like the energy of the Playboy Mansion. Because when I went up, it was never like, it didn't feel good, you know? I never like left being like, that was so much fun. And it was always like the Fun in the Sun where it's like not a lot of people. It wasn't like big parties where you're like shuttled in or anything. And so when I watched that show, the Playboy Murders, I was like, wow, there's like, the women themselves weren't dark, but the people that they would attract were like really dark.
Yeah.
Like Dorothy Stratton.
Yeah, it's really scary stories. And some of them are still unsolved.
That's what's so crazy. Do they just go, like, why do they go cold? Just like, you think someone buys them off, or they don't care, or there's just not enough evidence?
No, I think it's just hard. And I think, a lot of these happened a long time ago. Like one we recently covered last season, it happened in the 90s. And,
there's just not enough.
Yeah, methods just weren't as sophisticated back then. Not that you can't go back and solve a case with like DNA and things they collected back then, but it's hard.
That makes me like so sad to think about. I know nowadays, like with the Jasmine Fiore, they like found it like so quick, everything like that. And to me, that also was like so dark. Like you watch this like couple that's like beautiful and stuff like that, and it's just like crazy. So that's why I'm saying again, it's like the energy that's maybe not that they even attract, but just like the people that try and like, I guess, like leech or suck you.
Yeah,
or,
it could really happen to anybody. Like these are so many of the victims I relate to on so many different levels, the things they've experienced in their lives. And, I think that's something that's compelling about these true crime stories is you really realize, when the victims are more fleshed out and kind of given a voice as much as you can, you realize like this could really happen to anybody.
Yeah, they're interesting because I don't like watch true crime in general because it scares me, but I did watch that, and it's just interesting because like these girls will like give them the benefit of the doubt and like see them like one last time or whatever, and then that's like when that happens, and I'm just like, oh my God, just being too trusting, too open. Did you after your Playboy days, because you seem to be like well-grounded, did you go through therapy or anything, or were you just like...
I've tried therapy in different periods in my life. At first, when I left, I wasn't really thinking about any of that. I was very like in survival mode. Like I need to hit the ground running. I need to establish a career for myself now or it's going to be really hard. So I just wasn't really looking back or thinking much into it. And for the first couple of years after I was out, I was still kind of like in that brainwashed mindset where I was still trying to categorize everything as really great. And if anybody would ask me about it in the press, I'd be like, oh no, everything was great, blah, blah, blah. I just didn't want to get into it. It wasn't until I'd been out of there for maybe like 2 years before I really started to, if I would have occasion to like see a picture from back then, I'd be like, oh, I can tell that's a fake smile. Really? And all the bad memories would start coming back.
Interesting. So just by like looking at a picture, and then how would you deal with it? How would you be like, or were you just like able to just push it aside? Like you're like, I'm not there anymore.
It would come up and I would really start questioning things like how I was treated. But I was also doing my spinoff show for E, and we had to sign these contracts when we were in Girls Next Door. And part of the contract was like, if E picks up a spinoff with any one of you girls, it has to be with the same producer, the same production company who's one of Hef's friends. So anytime I would say to him, no, I don't want to go back to the mansion, or no, I don't want to do this Playboy related thing on my show. This is why. This is how I feel. He would shut that down real quick, and he would like stop everything, have to have a serious talk. He has to remind me how great Hef is and how much I got from that situation. And it would just be like the brainwashing. Like he was really good at that. So then you'd kind of shove, and I'd kind of know, I'd be like, this is kind of whack, but you'd shove it down a little bit more. And it's like a deprogramming period. When you've been in this cult mindset for 7 years, it takes a little bit of time to kind of deprogram out of it. Even though I was aware enough at one point that I need to leave, I was still kind of having this feeling like, okay, that was a bad situation, but it's a bad situation because I can't handle it.
Oh, so you just thought it was like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, something was wrong with you. And then you just had to like talk to other people, or you just like had to reflect in yourself and be like, okay, like wasn't me. It was actually him being the problem.
Well, it's kind of like once you're out in the real world and kind of get accustomed to how quote unquote normal people operate, then you're thinking back and you're like, wait, that really was fucked up.
Yeah. And then going from like one bad relationship and then you had like another bad relationship, how did you like break the cycle of like how did you get rid of like toxic men?
Well, it's kind of blessed in like a backwards way that like my next relationship after Hef had a lot of the same themes in it, but it was with like a younger guy who wasn't as like iconic or as up on this pedestal as Hef was. So I couldn't really make the same kind of excuses for him. So it was almost like the universe just showing me like, this is a pattern, a relationship pattern. This isn't just something that was unique to that one guy in that one situation. So then I knew what I didn't want in relationships moving.
That's amazing. So you were just able to like detect yourself, like this is not what I need.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I would always fall into the same patterns of guys, And I'm just like, oh, why can't I see it? Like, why can't I see what I'm like doing wrong? So then it just takes me to a nice guy. What I liked about Holly's World too, and I think we talked about this before. I can't remember if it was on camera, off camera, but that you like didn't want your relationships to be like the focus.
Yeah.
And they like pushed it.
Yeah, that was a hard one too. They really wanted me to talk about and include, a guy that I just started dating and barely knew and didn't even want to ask, do you want to be on my reality show? Like no. But they were like calling his people and asking behind my back, which was really embarrassing. And, the producer and I got in screaming matches over it. And I was just like, I don't want to be known for who I date for once in my life. It was a tough battle.
That's great. So they would call, and then like you were dating this guy, and so would he be like, "Oh, they want me on your show"? Like, would he tell you?
Yeah, and it was so embarrassing because I didn't want him to think that I really wanted him on the show, but was asking the show like so
clout
cheesy.
or something. Like, yeah, it's like not a bad thing, and I think in a way, like, people would have been like really interested and like tuned into it because it is like everyone wants to know about people's relationships. But I like now that I'm older, I like that you like didn't, because it was like, yeah, you were known for being in a relationship, but then you were just known as like you were the star. It was like literally Holly's World, which I thought was so cool. And then like I feel like it just made it you, and you don't have to be your relationships, which I think is like super cool and super fun. And then you said you were, I remember on Girls Next Level, you were talking about how they didn't really like pay you guys the first season.
No, not at all. For the first season, they ordered 8 episodes initially and didn't pay us. And then they eventually, because we made a fuss about it, paid us a little bit for the second half of season 1 when they ordered a new batch of episodes. And over the years, we would get little raises, little by little. But at first, they were like, absolutely not. They're living here rent free. They should just do this.
That's crazy. And you guys were just like, okay.
Well, we kind of felt like we had to.
Right,
like
I
was really worried about doing the show. Like a reality show wasn't necessarily. I knew it could be a good opportunity potentially, but I also thought it could potentially be really embarrassing because there was a lot of really like humiliating moments on reality TV back then. And I thought, well, this could be really bad, but I felt like I had to do it because I'd been living here for 3.5 years, I think like 4 years at that point, and you're feeling really invested and you don't have anything outside of the mansion. And I feel like, what am I going to do? Say no and get kicked out?
Right.
Like, I guess I could have, but
you didn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well,
it's
also,
a weighted decision.
I feel like but were you excited initially? Like, oh my God, they want to do a TV show about us? Like, I feel like.
No, I was really stressed out.
Really?
I had to go on antidepressants because of it. Yeah.
Like the first season, were you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great. And was he fine with that? Like being like, because I feel like he wouldn't want you to be like, right? He's like, oh, like medications, like all that stuff like that. Like, just like, no, just be yourself, like be you, be depressed.
Well, we had like a fight where I was crying because I was saying I wanted to work and have like a job during the day and be able to like pursue certain things. And I was telling him I was really depressed. And he said, and that I thought I needed to go see a therapist. And he goes, well, you can't. You can go talk to Mary because the therapist is just going to tell you to leave. So I would talk to Mary about it. And eventually they sent me to a therapist, but it was like somebody that was like friends with his doctor. So it was like an inner circle person.
Oh that's
and
like
he put me on
movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, like just like being
It's
with
weird.
it, like you can't get out. Like you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't want to get out, and then they just like go back and tell them, and then you get in trouble or something like that.
Yeah, it's creepy.
You should do like a horror movie based on this because it honestly sounds like it. Because it seems so like, I guess they've done that like with like sorority houses and stuff like that, but it just seems terrifying. Like it just seems like stressed all the time. Like just like when you talk about like getting yelled at and stuff by him, I'm just like, this is like crazy. He just seems like so sweet. Like you talk about it, like just being like a sweet, sweet old guy. When you left, were you like, did you have any like regrets? I know you're still like in it. Were you just like, oh shit, what did I do? Or were you like, I'm relieved?
No, I needed to be done.
Okay.
I mean, there were bad feelings because just due to the manipulative nature of our relationship, there was a lot of guilt embedded in me. And I felt like even though he has all the power and he's dating multiple people and all the things, I still felt like really bad for leaving him. Like I almost felt like I was leaving this helpless old man with high and dry with no one, even though he like has all these girls around him and stuff. But that was kind of how I was made to feel over my 7 years living there. So I felt really guilty leaving. And I was like, oh, I hope he moves on quick. And I hope he meets somebody that takes really good care of him. Because I felt so bad and so guilty.
So
but
you wanted him to.
Yeah, but I just knew I couldn't do it anymore.
Interesting. Because they made him seem like that on the show too. Like, oh, I'm so sad Holly's gone.
Like sad grandpa.
Yeah. Was he sad, do you think? Because he might have been. Maybe even like, not being able to control you or something. I don't know.
Well, I think he likes routine. And I think any time a woman would break up with him, he would always go through the phase where he would like be kind of mopey and want her back. But I think that's just like a pattern.
Yeah,
for
but
him.
you don't think he was like in love? I feel like you guys were like, I don't know, maybe it's the show, but I was like, you guys seem like a cute. I mean, obviously toxic now that we know, but like it seems like you brought fun to his life, like excitement, and I don't know.
I mean, we tried for sure. Like especially Bridget and I, like we really wanted to make that place as positive as we could make it and as fun as we could make it, and like make it have all the experiences that we imagined we would want from the Playboy Mansion, and like make it fun for the other playmates and things like that. But there was only so much we could do.
He looked like he was having fun sometimes. Because I watched the 6th season, I think, of it, and it just like was not the same like at all. Well, how many seasons are you guys on right now, Girls Next Level? Just one?
Yeah, we took a whole year to go through season 1.
Wow.
I think we're going to move a little faster moving forward, but we're ready to start season 2 of our podcast and season 2 of Girls Next Door next month.
Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like you should take your time on it, honestly, because there's only 5 seasons.
We like it. Yeah. I mean, we like getting into it, and we're going to review season 6 too. And also like the spin-off episodes that kind of go with the story, because there's a lot of drama that happened after we moved out too for like the next couple of years.
Wait,
juicy.
that wasn't on TV?
Yeah. All the drama's not on TV.
Really?
That was a fluff show, yeah.
You would think like after you left, because also like I feel, because you got a spinoff and then Kendra got a spinoff and Bridget had like a show where she had like beaches or something like that.
Yeah.
I just thought everyone was like so happy. Like they're out of it. Like thank God we're out of this. And then
Well,
everyone's
we
happy.
were, and all three of us were so happy for each other. But there was a lot of weird, like Hef would still send us letters. Like if we did something in the press or the media that he didn't like, he'd send us a letter like telling us, like kind of like reprimanding us. And then, you know, Kendra and I were both working for the same producer who was friends with him. So we're kind of always getting told, it's like we were still kind of being treated like we were his kids or something. It was weird.
And they were like handwritten notes or what?
Typed out. Yeah.
Do you think he typed them?
No.
You
Like
just
a
had,
secretary
someone
would do it. Yeah.
Did you like but you liked Mary, like the staff, you liked all them.
Yeah.
They weren't like in his cult, like in his like, okay, keep the girls here.
I mean, Mary was very, very loyal to Hef for sure. But that was always something I understood too. But at the same time, like she was supportive of me after I left and let me crash at her house if I was like in LA and lonely. And she wasn't ever trying to like get me to go back or anything like that.
That's good. So it wasn't like keep them in there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So the drama, that's so crazy. And so when you talk about the drama, it doesn't like trigger you or anything.
No, it does sometimes. And sometimes, you know, with Bridget and I both, we're surprised at what's triggering to us. Sometimes we think we're going to go into talking about a certain topic and it'll be fine. And we're come together to record the podcast and we're like, well, this one was a doozy, because you just don't know what's going to trigger you about this stuff. Like some stuff doesn't trigger you at all. Like some people are like, if that point in time was so traumatic for you, why do you still have all your clothes? And I'm like, because clothes were like my escape and my armor back then. And it was one of the few things I had fun with. So that's like a good memory. But then you just never know what is going to be triggering.
What has been the most that shocked you? That you're like, oh man, this is actually affecting me more than I thought.
Well, I think speaking for Bridget, she would probably talk about episode 2 of season 1 because they portray her to make it look like she's like sabotaging the girls who are there to test for Playmate and making them drunk and stuff. And it's really bad. For me, I'm trying to think. It's a little less surprising to me because I did already do a reaction series on YouTube.
Right. To all of them? To the whole episodes? All the episodes?
No, I didn't do season 5 yet.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
but season 1 through 4 you did.
I mean, sometimes I'll watch things. I can't think of what the best specific example is right now. But sometimes I'll watch things and I'll just get mad all over again about how we were portrayed, because some of the stuff I didn't even notice when we rewatched it back in the day. Because back then I was just so scared of like being humiliated on national television. I was just like, okay, as long as I'm not being completely embarrassed or made to look like a total ass, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like 10 years or 20 years later, I can watch it and be like, oh, they were trying to make me look like an asshole and they totally cut what I said and that's not fair. And I'll get mad all over again.
Right. Or like the eye rolls or something, they would
Yeah.
cut it and you're just like, that's, yeah. I always find that interesting. What was the happiest? Like, what's like, oh my God, that was the best time. I wish I could relive it at the mansion.
I always feel like it's times when we got to do stuff that was just the girls. Like in season 5, we took a bus up to the Madonna Inn for Bridget's sister's birthday. And that was just so fun. But also it's a rare moment where he's not around. And I feel like I can be myself to a point. Like obviously I know the cameras are still on me and like security's with us and stuff like that. But I can have fun and I don't have to worry about him like, you know, getting mad at me because I'm having a good time or something.
So did you always, even back then, you prefer to be with like the girls over Hef? Interesting, because most people would be like, I want to be with my boyfriend, or I want to be with like Hef because he's the powerful one. But you're like, I can't wait to like, even back then you were like,
yeah, no, I
relieved.
always wanted more girl time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That like blows my mind. I'm like, and he just would let you guys go. He wouldn't care. Because I would think he'd want like the control, right? To be like, you can't stay over at night somewhere.
Well, for the longest time, we couldn't stay the night anywhere. It only got to the point where I could stay the night somewhere once we were in season like 3 of the show. And of course, you know, the network and everybody wants us to do different things. And there's only so much you can do within the mansion that has the same routine all year round. So I think the first time I got to stay the night away from the mansion was when we went to Aspen for the snowboarding episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to stay one night away, super novelty. And over like the last 3 or 2 seasons, 3 seasons, season 3, 4, and 5, we got to do a few trips here and there that would be overnights.
And he was
So
fine. Because I think it was Aspen. You guys had like a hot ski instructor. Or was it Sean White?
Yeah.
Like, how did that, like, to me, that's like so cool. And so, but I'm surprised
No,
you
I
would like
don't
let
know
that
how
happen.
they got half the people that were on our show. Like Sean White was on the show, Kelly Slater. Like I don't know how they got these people to do our show.
Well,
but
it was a big
cool.
show.
Yeah.
It was huge. I mean, it was huge. I feel like at some point everyone just like wanted to be on it. And then how were you able to, were you producer on Holly's World?
Technically I was a co-EP. I should have been an executive producer. Like the whole show was based on like a life that I created for myself after I left. It was my friends. My name was in the title. The show was my idea that I pitched, like everything about it. But because because of that contract, I had to do it with that one executive producer who wouldn't share his executive producer credit with anybody at that time. So I got a co-EP credit, but it was really just a vanity credit. Like he wouldn't let me do anything on it.
Really? So
yeah,
you didn't get
no.
So how were you able to like parlay into like producer of like Playboy Murders? Like how were you able to do that? Were you just like, I demand to be producer on this, or like they just like respected you because you're been in all these shows?
I was just in this weird like cult like atmosphere where like the executive producer I worked for before just didn't respect us as people at all. Like we were puppets to him. And it's like, fuck you. I'm not giving you an EP credit or letting you make any decisions on this.
Yeah.
Like even to just do basic things like keep my relationships out of the show to a certain point, it turned into like big screaming matches. So it was hard.
So you just had to like fight for it. Because it's like now you said you're producing because you're producing in that second season of Playboy Murders, and then there's like another show, but you haven't like talked about that yet.
Yeah, we haven't announced it yet.
Is it a reality show or is it a docuseries?
It's another true crime show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so so you just go and you pitch, you're like, I've had this idea, I just want to go do this.
Well, for Playboy Murders, a production company came up with it and they came to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the new show, did you pitch yourself or was it another partnership thing?
No, the network executive came up with it for me. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's super
cool.
lucky. I love that.
I mean, there's just so many things. I feel like, have you ever acted like I know like the Scary Movie and stuff like that, but like real acting?
You know, I used to want to be an actor like in college. That's kind of what I wanted to pursue, but I'm not really good at like emoting that much. Like I've always been like the resting bitch face girl.
Yeah, right.
It's like my voice is very flat. Like I don't think I'm cut
your
out for
voice
it.
is very Disney princess.
Oh, thank you.
You think it's flat? I think
it's like it's very flat and kind of monotone and not like a lot of emotion or range. I tried to do voiceover for a while too, but I would listen back and I'd be like, I feel like I'm making all these changes in my voices and going all these places, but it sounds very like one note.
What did you do voiceover for? Like commercials or?
No, I was like auditioning for stuff. Yeah.
I always wanted to do voiceover too because I was just like, it doesn't matter what you look like. I can just be fat and just like whatever. I always thought that'd be so fun. Oh my gosh. I feel like voice acting work would be like.
You would be a really great voiceover person, I think.
I just don't know how people do anything. Even like you producing shows, I'm like, how do people get things? Like I've never figured that out. Like I never had agents or anything. Like how do people get into like things? I guess you just have to like know someone and then be connected or something.
Gotta get an agent. They're helpful.
I know. But I'm kind of like you. I'm like I don't know. I couldn't be a good actress, but I see you as like being an actress. Like, you know, you should do like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like you could be like Sabrina grown up or something, or her aunts or something like.
Oh, that would be fun.
Like you
I'd
doing
love
like
to be a Sabrina aunt.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that show?
Yes, I loved it.
I loved it too. I just wish there was another like witch show that was like cool.
I know.
Do you consider yourself like practicing Wiccan or paganism, or do you just kind of like have fun with it?
I don't like practice a specific structured thing. Like I don't identify with a practice that like has rules that other people. I'm just kind of like I kind of pick and choose what works for me and like do my little candle things. And
no, you do something.
It seems to be lucky.
No, you do. You have like a spiritual room, right? Like I've seen.
Yeah, and I found mold in it. I have to do a mold remediation, so I'm moving like every little thing in there, like all my little essential oils and stuff. Wah, wah.
Wait, how did you find the mold?
Well, I had like a leak from the bathroom upstairs. And then they had to like get into the wall to like replace a pipe, and then there was mold in there.
Oh man, yeah, we had the leaks too. We had to like get our whole carpeting. It's not that there's mold, but there was like leaks, and I'm like, we should get like epoxy or something down here because I never owned a house before, and thank God I have like Moses because I don't know what to do like in a situation like that when there's leaks. Like I would have no idea who to call, what to do. Do you have anyone that helps you, or do you just do it? Well, you're smart. You do.
Yeah, there's a couple like handyman people that I like,
just
kind of call for everything, and they know other people that they can refer me to and stuff. Thank God.
That's I don't know any of that stuff, but you know like tech. You were saying you do the audio and light. I'm like, I can't figure any of that stuff out.
That's all self-taught within the last year, though, so a lot of it's kind of janky still.
No, it's amazing. It's actually like a remarkable. And your house is so cute too when you were saying about it, like your spell room. It's kind of like.
It's a witch house for sure.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like just seeing it in the background of your TikTok.
It's really cute. It's very witchy. It's like a storybook home that was built in the 20s, and it's surrounded by like trees. It's very woodsy.
Oh, I love that so much. You ever see ghosts or anything in there?
It's totally haunted. There's a whole episode of Ghost Adventures about it.
About your house?
Yeah. You have to watch it.
Okay, see, I never got into ghost stuff because I haven't like experienced a ghost interaction, but I know you guys would always look for ghosts and stuff like that. I'm like, is this real? Like,
I feel like you're going to now that you've said it. Now that you said I've never experienced a ghost thing. I feel like
do you have to like invite them in? Is it like one of those things like magic where you have to like believe in it and then it happens?
I don't know, because I know a lot of people who were like never believers, but then put them in the right place and they're like, oh, holy shit.
There's
and
ghosts.
they'll still insist they're not a believer, but I can't explain this.
Really?
You know?
What's the most haunted? Because you guys went to the Clown Motel. You went to like all these things. What? And there was other ones. Oh, the Queen Mary.
Yeah, the Queen Mary. Yeah, we recently did a sleepover there right before it reopened, and we were recording podcasts for our Patreon. And while we were recording the podcast, we started hearing these weird noises that were coming from nowhere that sounded like people banging, like with a hammer. And there was nobody else on the ship because they had just reopened. So there was like 2 security people, and we were like alone on that ship at night.
Wait, how did you get that? You just
because Bridget knew somebody in like the PR there. So she went there to do like her paranormal podcast, and then we stayed the night and everything like right before it opened. Yeah.
Do ghosts like kill people? Like I'm always scared they're gonna like kill me or something.
I don't think so.
Okay, they're like nice always. They're like good, right? There's never bad experiences.
No, there's bad experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they can't touch. I don't know the rules of ghosts, but do they can't touch you or anything, right?
Well, like a poltergeist is something that like moves stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
so
I've heard of people being like dragged out of bed before.
Like real, like actual people you know.
Yeah.
Oh my! You should do like a ghost show because I feel like. Well, I guess you said you had a ghost. I gotta watch it now. Oh my god! Because like
you should watch it. It's
ghosts scare me. Like the idea of ghosts scare me.
Yeah.
Like all that. I don't know. Like haunted anything. I'm just like not about. I don't know. It's interesting. And she has a paranormal podcast. I haven't listened to that one. Bridget does?
She did. She's, I think, revamping it. So it's not up right now. But
oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. See, podcast is kind of like the reboot of Girls Next Level, I feel. Like, or I mean, Girls Next Door, sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can get the whole story.
It's the modern, it's like the modern reboot of it. Do you find fans, the difference in fans now, like back then versus now that like listen to you on podcasts or TikTok? Like, what are the differences? Or are they the same? Are they like just people that grew up with you?
A lot of it is people who grew up watching the show for sure. And they
Right.
talk about like what they loved about it back then and how their perception has changed. Like we get a lot of really cool, fun comments and feedback from like people on our Patreon and on our social media and stuff like that.
And you started on Patreon, or did you get that after you did the podcast?
After the podcast, yeah.
That's what's so cool is like also just I think that's what I like kind of about woke culture. I mean, there's like one hand I can't like woke culture can be like a lot, but then on the other hand I'm like, oh, it's so nice to like realize like there was like trauma and like especially women. Mm-hmm. I used to be I don't know, I never considered myself to be like a feminist. I always just thought like Playboy was cool and like, you know, like what's the word, like, you know, naked women were cool. And then now looking back at it, you're like, you know, all these like old men like profited off of this. You guys weren't getting paid. Like there's nothing like empowering about that because you were getting like taken advantage of. But now that there is like OnlyFans and stuff, I kind of like that like people are able to like be in control, especially podcasts. Sure. Like you guys are doing it all yourself. Well, now you have like companies that help you, but I just think that's such a cool thing. And you're like executive producing things. I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun. I think that is definitely one thing that's changed with the fan base is they understand a lot more of what we were going through at the time, and they understand there's a deeper level to it, and they can interact with us on that level too. So it's really exciting. And I feel like, especially with like a younger generation, like younger millennials and Gen Z, they're much more open to listening to people's experiences. Mm-hmm. I feel like not all older people, of course, but some kind of older people like my age and older. That's where you get a lot more of the, you knew what you're getting into. Shut the fuck up. If you're going to pose nude, you deserve everything you get. Kind of an attitude.
And people still like that. Mm-hmm. They're still like that. Like, well, you post the nudes, so they deserve to be like shared around and stuff like that.
It's ridiculous.
Like, what a weird notion. Mm-hmm. Especially like knew what you're getting yourself. How could you possibly know what you're getting yourself into when you come in? You see a party lifestyle. How do you know you're going to get drugged and used and abused?
Yeah.
And that's like way. But yeah, like you said, people like listen now, and I feel like this new generation like really like, you know, owns it and stuff like that, which is like cool. And they see you guys as like very smart and very intelligent, which I feel like there was the girls back in the day that just like wanted to be you, but then there was those girls that are like, wow, they're so stupid. They're like bimbos or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But everyone's like, oh, they're so smart. I think they see it after. I feel like just anything, like you don't notice like you're going to be like a legend in the moment. Like watching Girls Next Door, I was like, oh, this is so fun. But then afterwards, you're like, no, this was like iconic. You guys were like,
oh, thank you.
You're legend forever. You know, doing Holly's rollout, stuff like that's so cool. But you're a mom, which is like super fun. Last time we talked to you, you said like you might want more kids.
I mean, not really. Oh. Like in an ideal world, because I've had like such a great experience with my kids, it's a fun thought to be like, oh, in a couple of years it'd be so fun to like pop out another one, another little one. But like from a practical standpoint, no.
You and I, because you're so good. You're so good at coming out with baby names. I love baby names.
Yeah,
I love unique baby names. Your baby names are very unique. Your daughter's is like so pretty, so special. What were names that you thought about using but didn't?
For Forrest, I initially wanted to name him Dragon, but that got the veto.
Oh my god, I love that. What was it? Just after Dragons, or was there a specific thing?
Well, my ex-husband's sister had a friend named Dragon. He was from Serbia. And I don't know if his name's actually Dragon. I could be getting it wrong. But I thought, oh, that's so cool.
Dragon's
like,
cute.
what an amazing name. But his dad was
cool.
like, no.
That would have been cool. I like the
But
name
I like
Drogo.
the name Forrest, too.
Yeah. Oh, Forrest is so cool.
Yeah.
And Rainbow. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? How did you come up with that?
Well, when I was in junior high, there was a girl who was a couple years younger than me in my sister's class, and her name was Rainbow. And I thought, oh my God, that's so pretty. And I was so envious, and I wish that was my name. And then I forgot about it for years and years until I was pregnant, and the name just like dropped into my head. So
really, I think it's so pretty. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking for other girls, or was that it? Was there
that was
like
it? That was it. Yeah,
that's how we thought too. I was like, if we have another girl, I'm like, we have no more girl names.
I
don't know
you picked
what
the best
named.
one.
I know. I always thought that too in my head. I'm like, I knew Malibu, but then I'm like, oh, I don't know. I love the name Elvis too. So I'm like, if we have another girl, she's gonna be Elvis.
That's really cute. Elvis is extra cute for a girl,
right? I thought that too, because like now a lot of people are naming theirs on Elvis. I thought
I think there's something so cute about when a girl has like a traditionally boy name, like even like Charlie or something.
Oh,
so
I love that. Like Dylan, everything. I think is so cute. I love Holly though. Holly's such a cute name.
Thanks.
It's like all of the shirts you would wear on Holly's World. It was like so
every day's a holiday or something.
You should make merch and sell that, because it was a very simple shirt. So you could like make that so easily. No, your shirts were iconic. I bought probably every single one after I watched the Holly's World. I was like, let me just buy this one. You had a cute little like, I think was it Care Bears or Rainbow Bright or something. It was so cute. All your vintage bags, Louis Vuitton. Bought all of them. We just recently found one of those big Louis Vuittons that you would carry.
Oh my God, the Mary Poppins bag. Like I look back and I would go out to a nightclub with like a bag the size of a fucking suitcase. I'm like, what?
What was in it?
What world?
What were you carrying?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I would go out to a club like after Peep Show. So it would be like a ton of makeup, a ton of like, but I didn't even need that stuff. Like I had a whole dressing room full of shit. So I don't know what I was thinking, but it would be this giant bag. Like, don't do it, guys.
I love it. I love it because I think it makes, like, once again, as you can tell by the chairs, I like things that are oversized to make me look small. So like a big bag. Now everything's so little, those tiny bags. I'm like, I don't need a tiny bag. I need a big bag. That's so after you would do Peep Show, you would go out to like clubs. I always think of you, like maybe now I think of you as an introvert, but I guess you're not, because you did the parties and everything.
Well, you know what was okay about it back then is I was always drunk.
Oh.
So like now I don't drink.
At all?
Not really. And not because I'm like
occasion.
determined to be sober or anything. It's just like my boyfriend doesn't drink. I don't like how I feel the day after. So it just never occurs to me. But it makes me, when I'm sober, I'm a lot more susceptible to just like energy and like, feeling awkward and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel awkward ever? I feel like you never do. Really?
All the time, yeah.
Because you're around so many people. Like, I'm never around people. So, like, when I met you, I was like, God, I'm so awkward. I was like,
I didn't think you're awkward.
Because I always feel like when I see you on TV, you always just seem so like you could talk to everyone. You guys talk about going to the parties and you're like, I'm social. I'm talking to everybody. But for me, that's like my worst nightmare. Like having, like, I stutter over my words. Like I feel like you're just so open. I guess it's just like in you though. Like you have an extroverted side.
Just being drunk.
Yeah.
It's just easier when you're drunk. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. I used to like, not alcohol, but it was, what was it? I can't think of it right now. Like you always talk about
Hypnotic.
No, but I love those. like Molly and stuff like that. Or just like hypnotism.
No, Hypnotic, the liqueur. It's like a drink. It's like bright blue.
No, there's another thing you talk about.
Quaaludes? I never took those.
Wait, I thought you did at the mansion.
No, I was offered them. Like he used to have like this stockpile of Quaaludes from the 70s, and he would always offer them to girls because he thought they would make them sleep with him.
Wait, they were drugs from the 70s?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
they didn't make them anymore.
Stockpile.
Because I never knew what those were. I heard you talking about them, and I was like, wait, I never heard of these.
Yeah, well, I think back then, like 20 years ago, most girls my age didn't know what they were either, and that's probably why a lot of them were trusting and taking them, and then next thing I know, it's like Wolf of Wall Street. You're stumbling out the door.
No, well, then I put the two and two together. I was like, oh, like that scene, that's so interesting. Were you just like, and then what's it do? It just kind of like freezes you or what? You just don't know what's going on?
I think it makes you really, really relaxed.
And you never took them?
No.
I also stole your laugh. Did you know about this?
No.
Really? I feel like, okay, because so many people were calling me out when I was like watching, again, Girls Next Door over and over in Holly's World. I would do your laugh all the time. And now I can't even do it, but I would just do it every single day as my regular laugh. And I would just like
so funny.
Steal it. Your laugh is so good. Or the way you say stuff. I think I talked like you for probably like a year. I was talking, and people would call me out. They're like, oh my God, you're copying Holly.
Funny.
And I don't know what it is. I feel like just stuff you say like, yeah, like stuff like that. I just like do the same thing. But you don't mind. Like I love that you're
I think
girl's
it's fun.
girl.
Yeah,
like you're like the fact that we can match every time makes
love
me
matching,
so happy. I was just like,
well, you're the cosplay icon.
Yes.
So, like I loved your Taylor cosplay the other day. So cute.
You're a cosplay icon. Because when I would watching the Girls Next Door, and you would do all your Disney princess cosplays, I'm like, You're the ultimate Disney adult, I feel.
I think so too.
Because you look like
I
a
was Disney adulting before anybody else except maybe like John Stamos.
Oh, yes, you two are like the OG. Because he like could close the parks down and go at like night and stuff. He's like really obsessed with Disney. He goes to all those like auctions. Do you ever go to those where?
I did go to the auction display they had a really recent one and I wanted to bid on, they have these little devil dolls from Mr. Toad, but then I forgot about the auction. I completely spaced the date and didn't bid. So next time.
You don't do it there? You don't do it at the thing?
No, you go and you look and you get the catalog and then you can bid like either in person or online, and I just completely spaced the date. Yeah.
Because he has like the giant D, I think, right? Yeah. Like the giant Disneyland. I'm like, and I feel like you were doing it before it was cool. Like, I think Disney adulting wasn't cool for a minute.
Well, I think people weren't really motivated before social media. Like, my tour guides at Disney say that Disney started to get a lot busier when Instagram started, like 10 years ago or however long ago Instagram started.
Right, because you would see stuff that you didn't know. Like, I didn't know, I didn't know food, like the special treats, had no idea those existed before TikTok. And I was like, I would just go to like literally like the restaurants, like the one at the Pirates of Blue Bayou or whatever. Like, that's it. But now they have like I thought of you, the pickle sandwich at Disney World. Have you seen that? It's like a pickle milkshake.
Oh, no, I saw the pickle milkshake. Disney World has so much more fun treats than we do, so I'm kind of bitter.
Do you go a lot to Disney
World?
Like
once a year. Yeah.
I want to go. When did you start taking your kids?
Oh, way too early. So, so when I was originally Disney adulting in my 20s with my friend Ashley, we would see people, and I always say don't take the babies when they're too young to enjoy it, because then you just have this screaming baby who's miserable, and then you're miserable. And, Ashley and I would walk around like, they brought their 8-month-old. Like, why did they do it? They're not even going to, remember it. I'm not doing that when I'm a mom. I'm going to wait until they're at least old enough to remember. But of course, like after I had Rainbow, I'm bringing her there when she's like 2 months. And then I'm like dying, like sweating to death. And our tour guide like brings me into this weird like air conditioned room in like Main Street. And I'm like,
wait, is it like a special room for moms or something?
No, it was, I don't know what it was.
It's just like a room with air conditioning. And you just were there with your 2-month-old.
Yeah, dying. Because I get it. Like once you have the kids, like you want to take them everywhere. You don't want to leave them out. Like it's expensive to get a babysitter. So I get it. But I also think it's worth the splurge, because if you're going to enjoy your vacation by yourself or with your older kids, like the infants aren't going to enjoy it. They're just going to be miserable. And like you see people with babies and I'm like, that poor kid has heat stroke right now. Or sunburned babies. Oh my God. Like I saw, last time I was there, I saw a guy with like the baby in the onesie in front and the baby was like burned.
No. Would they have like a hat or anything covering its, I guess the legs you can't cover.
The legs and the arms.
Yeah, that's sad.
So that's like my tip for parents. Like wait until the kid's old enough to remember.
What do you think is the right age? 5.
Maybe like 3.
Oh, that's younger.
Well, like the rule of thumb is like kids can get into Disneyland under the age of 3 for free.
Oh.
And I think that's for a reason. Like,
right. They can't enjoy it.
Yeah, they're not in.
Do your kids like it, or are they like?
They love it. Yeah,
oh, that's
especially
good.
My son. He is a pirate through and through. Oh, He's been like into pirates for like the last 3 years.
Is it specifically Pirates of the Caribbean or just like pirates in general?
Pirates in general.
Because you guys stayed in the room, and I was like, I didn't know where they had that. Is that at the California? Is it the Lodge?
No, it's the Disneyland Hotel. They have a couple themed suites there. There's a Princess one, a Frontierland one, an Adventureland one. That one's really cool. But then there's the pirate one. And he started getting into pirates right before quarantine. So, and usually kids don't stick with a phase that long. Usually it lasts like a year. So I'm like, please stay into pirates. Please stay into pirates. Because I want to take him to like the pirate dinner down in like by medieval times.
Oh my God, I've never been to that one.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's good?
Yeah. And then they have like the pirate suite at Disneyland. And I'm like praying for him to still be into pirates when they open. But he was, luckily. But it took a long time for it to open. I was like calling Disneyland, like, is your pirate suite open yet? They're like, because like after quarantine, they kind of open stuff back up in phases. Like at first the park, and then it took time for like the hotels to open and all the rooms and stuff. But
do you have like a person that you just call and you're just like, hey, is it open? Or do you just call like everyone else like a regular number, just like, hey?
I call it, there's a Club 33 member number you can call. And
that's the coolest thing that you do. I think like Club 33, because I know you like can't take pictures, or you can't take video, but you take like pictures. I'm like, and they have like Club 33 merch. Like the idea of it sounds so cool. But then I watch some TikToks. Do you watch this one? It's like Bougie Disney.
I've seen Bougie Disney.
She always like talks about like getting valet at the Lodge and then going to Club 33.
Yeah.
But then some people say it's like not worth. I don't know. I think I'm just like, oh, maybe it's not worth it. I try to like think that in my head because like it's impossible to join.
I mean, I think it's worth it if you're already like going to Disneyland all the time, for sure, because it's expensive for sure. But if you're already doing it where you're getting tour, because the tour guides are expensive without it. And you get like with your membership, you get like 5 tour guides a year.
Oh, that's worth it. Mm-hmm. That's so worth it because the tour guides can be pricey. Yeah, but you got married there too, so I thought maybe you would get like VIP. How is that? Okay, I really wish I would have got married at Disneyland. I wanted to get married at Disneyland so bad, but I
could do another wedding. Why not?
I know. I really want to.
No, I saw this Instagram reel. This is insane. Like more power to her. I love her that she's doing this, but also kind of insane. She's like, I'm the Disney bride, and I got married at Disneyland 5 times, and I'm going to do it 8 more times or something. I'll have to send it to you. I was like, whoa.
What does that mean? She just had the ceremony over and over?
Yeah, a different ceremony, like in Disney World.
Oh.
Because a lot of people get married in Disney World. It's like an industry over at that park.
Right.
And everyone's different, style different, and she wants to have a total of like 12 different wedding dresses.
Okay,
So.
was she in the park or was she at the hotels, like the Floridian and stuff?
I didn't pay attention to where each one was. I think in Disney World, it's like a lot of the different resorts and things like that.
Yeah, I always see those on TikTok too, but you got married in front of the castle. Was that Disneyland, right?
I got married inside Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because
and we had New Orleans Square for our reception, but we did take photos in front of the castle, and we did like the pumpkin coach and stuff like that.
That's what I remember seeing in your little blue satin. Oh my gosh.
It was so cool.
Did you guys film it for anything or no? You just did it for...
We just had some personal camera footage. E wanted to do a wedding special, but Disney wouldn't let them film, so
no way.
That got pulled, yeah. But,
wait, really? Because I
Yeah.
feel like they like let people like Pentatonic things in front of it and stuff like that.
Disney will let like Disney in-house,
Like
like
ABC.
ABC. Yeah, it's like stuff like that. Like they're like, you're trash, probably.
No
you know?
way. But I felt like that'd be such a... Oh my God, that would have been so cool. Yeah, I know. I asked my like wedding planner. She goes, yeah, they have their own wedding planners and stuff like that. I wanted to. I had a boyfriend before that I always talked about getting married at Disneyland. He did not care about Disneyland. But I was like, oh, I shouldn't do that with like most because I talked about it with my ex. But I regret it to this day because we spent so much money on our wedding. Honestly, we probably could have gotten married at Disney for it, and we just got so scammed. And I was like, dang, we should have married at Disney.
No.
Did you get to eat the food in the Louisiana Square? New Orleans Square.
Oh, well, that's one of the most fun parts is you go for like a food tasting beforehand and you like meet with a chef and they like you come up with all the stuff. And that's one of my regrets is I'm so busy doing like outfit changes and pictures and stuff like that and saying hi to everybody that I didn't get to eat any of the food.
Never, yeah.
And we had like all this fun stuff like a gourmet grilled cheese stand and I forget what the other ones even were, but there were like 4 different stations around New Orleans Square with like different types of food. It was so fun.
How many people?
It was really tiny because we all had to fit into the Blue Bayou. So it was only like, it was under 200 people.
Oh, that's big.
No, it is big, but like my ex-husband, he throws like huge festivals and he's
Right.
super social. So if he could have got married with like all of Burning Man in attendance, he totally would have done it. So for
love
him,
that.
that's small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have to convince him or is he a Disney person too? Where he's like, that's fun.
No, he was really into it because as
love
somebody who
that.
throws like festivals and stuff, he's really into seeing everything behind the scenes at Disney and like how they create their atmospheres and things like that. So he was into it.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love when you like find a guy. I mean, obviously like it didn't work out, but like I love when you like find a guy that just like goes in it with you.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
fun.
fun.
I think that, yeah, I wanted to do like a Frozen theme. And then again, our budget went all over
That
the
would be
place.
cool, Frozen theme.
Because you're a Christmas baby. And I just thought that would be like so fun to have a baby at Christmas time to do like Winter Wonderland birthdays and stuff. I
Oh
just
my
think
God,
it's the
so
funnest.
fun.
I think
Yeah.
we talked about it and the baby with the Santa hat. You can get the Santa hat. But I always wanted, next time we like plan it, we'll try and plan for like a Capricorn. You're a Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
I like Capricorns. What's before Capricorns? Like,
Sagittarius.
do you like Sagittariuses?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know why I was just thinking about this today, but I feel like within my friends and my friend group, they have a lot of either Sagittarius or Taurus placements.
Oh, really?
That's like a common denominator.
I wonder why. What is that? Like, what do you think it is?
The only thing I could think of that's a common denominator is like Capricorn is a goat. So it's like a 4-legged hooved animal. And so is a Taurus, a bull, and so is a Sagittarius is a horse.
I am a Taurus. So maybe
that's
we're
awesome.
matched. I don't know any Capricorns, I don't think, except for you.
Oh, that's so cool.
But you're like literally, and I tell you that like you're literally like one of a kind person. Like I've never met anyone like you, and I always think it's like you're just so wonderful and so
Oh,
sweet.
you're
Like
so sweet.
and
Thank you.
everyone says, like I said, my makeup artist this morning was saying like how like she was giving me those examples, and I was like, oh my God, that's like crazy. Like you're one of a kind for sure. Have you stayed in Cinderella's castle?
No, that's kind of like one of the few last things on my Disney bucket list because they won't let you book it. It's just something they save for like contests every once in a while.
But like a Jonas brother, I feel like stayed in there. I feel like
You know, they've used it before for like people who are performing. Like I know one time like Paramore performed for a grad night like a long time ago and that was their dressing room.
oh gosh, and so they just give it to people to like. I feel like they should give it to you
Katy Perry stayed there once and she like ordered pizza and stuff.
from like Disney or Domino's or where?
I guess so. Well, I know they have like a takeout pizza at the Grand Floridian, so maybe it came from there. But,
That's like
yeah,
the
it's
dream.
so fun. I know.
Disney, if you want to like have us make TikToks together, we'll go together. I think that's like the dream. I see like so many Disney TikTokers. Do you follow them? Like the ones that go every day to Disney World?
Yeah, I think the Mouselets I follow.
I don't know them.
And I forget the names of the accounts, but there's these 2 guys who dress up in costume all the time. And I saw them at a Halloween at Disneyland and they were dressed as like boy versions of Anna and Elsa. And they were the cutest costumes. And I forget their account name, but they dress up on TikTok too. They have a really big account.
Oh yeah, I follow a lot of people that do those too. I don't know their names either, but they go like every single day and they like dedicate themselves to it. I think that's the coolest. I think that's so fun, and all the food and all the stuff like
Yeah.
that. What do you think of the new Snow White?
I mean, I might be surprised, but I'm not into all those interview clips where she's like, yeah, no, not cool. Or if I have to stand there 59, like I'm all for the strike and I'm supportive and I think people should get paid what they're worth. But I just think it's like coming off a little disjointed.
Yeah, like really, like I saw someone on TikTok make this point that like if you hate the 1937 film so much, like why are you remaking it?
Yeah, and you know what? Not every Disney animated film has to be made into a live action. Like, calm down. I thought they did a great job with like Cinderella.
Oh, Cinderella was
I don't
great.
need to see all of these.
Yeah, it's a lot. Did you like Little Mermaid?
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that's so good.
Little Mermaid was so good, but it like I heard like financially it didn't do well.
That's weird.
Because it was everywhere and like all the buckets were sold out and stuff like that. And I loved Halle Bailey, but it does.
Do you think that's propaganda though? Because there's so many people out there who are like trying to like criticize Disney for being too woke, and they're like, they're losing so much money, which I don't know, maybe they are, but
I don't either. Because
I find it hard to believe that Little Mermaid didn't turn a profit.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not there looking at the books. I could be wrong, but I find that hard to believe because it seemed like people really liked it.
It was everywhere. Like, it was all over, all the songs. Yeah, I don't know. And they said that with like Snow White too. Everyone's like mad because of the wokeness, like the magical creatures instead of the seven dwarfs. There's no Prince Charming in this one, apparently. She said there's none. There's no like love. There's no like Prince Charming to save her, nothing. And I was like, okay, like, see, it's a little crazy then. Why is it a Disney if there's no Prince? You know what I mean? Like, everyone loves.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe it's a really great script, but I don't know.
But it should be something different.
I'm not excited about it right now.
I don't like any of the Snow Whites. Yeah. Have you seen the Huntsman one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like those. Or the Maleficent. You like that one?
That one was cute. I thought that was a fun take on the story.
I'm just like not. The only one I liked was Cruella. I'm just like not into like the villain.
Cruella was fun.
I like that. I thought that was super fun. I think they should make one on like Jafar or something, like him being like fabulous. Because I feel like low key, like he could be like a diverse, like, you know, Disney villain. Like I feel like they have a lot of gay like heroes, but not like gay villains. And I feel
Wait, is Jafar gay?
Yeah.
Wait, is that canon? Or is that canon or is that fan theory?
What's canon?
Canon is like when something's like written into the. I think I'm probably defining this wrong.
No, but I see it on TikTok. That's why I wanted to know because everyone's like, it's a canon event. You can't stop it. Have you seen that trend?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's canon mean?
I think it means
written.
like a key story moment that's like official. I think I'm probably explaining this so wrong.
I think he's unofficial.
Okay.
Right? I think that's
I'll
what
delve into this. I'm curious.
I feel like I heard that he wanted to be with Aladdin, and that's why he took Jasmine hostage or kept her.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I don't know. I love a good origin story because I did not like the live action Aladdin either.
I didn't watch it. I wasn't excited about it.
Wow. As like a Disney adult, I thought you would be like so
I'm not
about
that
these.
into the live action ones necessarily.
You just like the
sometimes I'll
cartoons.
stumble into one and maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. But.
I feel like the Disney stuff, they kind of just like shoot themselves in the foot.
I feel like live action Disney movies are this generation's. Do you remember how they used to make all the Disney sequels and put them straight to VHS? Like Lady and the Tramp 2 or Cinderella 2. Let's pretend she never met the prince. Like weird
Wait,
stuff.
I haven't seen that one. Is that how the story
There's
is?
like a Cinderella 2 and a Cinderella 3.
That she never met the prince?
I think there's one, I haven't seen it, but there's one where they like go back in time and they make it so one of the stepsisters meets the prince in set or something. I don't know, it's weird.
Kind of live for that though. That's kind of. I love Little Mermaid too. Did you ever see that one with her
No,
daughter?
with Melody, yeah.
You haven't seen it?
Well, that's kind of the thing is I was like, I don't want to watch these janky, stupid sequels that shouldn't exist. And then that's
Right.
kind of how I am with the live action ones now. I'm like,
Right. I get it more with the live action, but the sequel, especially because you have a daughter. When I had my daughter, I was like, oh my God, she could be Melody. Like, it's so cute. And then she goes back in the water. I love the whole thing. I think it's fun. I don't know. Disney has my heart. I love it so much.
sure.
I would love to do a Disney day with you, just going to eat all the snacks.
Yeah, we should go sometime.
I feel like I DM'd you and I'm like, where do you get the strawberry cream cheese pretzels? If you like know everything about Disney, I just think you're like a Disney ambassador. They really should
once
give
it
you
cools down, we should go. Once it's not so hot.
Yeah, I feel like Halloween time's a fun time. Christmas time's fun.
Yeah.
Do you go to the parties and stuff like that after?
Yeah, we're gonna go to one of the Halloween nights.
Oh yeah, your kids are old enough to do that. I'm one of those parents. I'm like, maybe Malibu can go this year. She can like walk kind of at like 10 or 1 month or 1 year. 1 year old. Another thing I like love about you is manifesting. You talk about manifesting. You talk about Elvira being like a master manifester.
Oh, you have to read the Elvira book because some of her manifestation stories are just so crazy.
I read it because of you.
Oh, you did?
You talked about that.
Yeah, it's such a good book.
I knew nothing about Elvira. Like I knew nothing about her
She's
at all.
so interesting.
Yeah, her book was really, really good. And I feel like, I don't know if you're like into manifesting, but I feel like you've manifested like your life. Like you are like this, you're like literally iconic. You're like without maybe trying or not trying, like you are the Playboy like symbol. I think more than Pam, more than like you are Playboy. Like right when people think of Playboy, they think Holly Madison.
It's funny because I did kind of manifest that a little bit, even though now I'm like, I want to be known for something else. But it's like, putting in all that effort for so many years.
Yeah, you talk about that when you're just like, I went this far, I've done so many things that maybe I wasn't comfortable with, like, might as well just keep going to get, like, and you did, like, you made a name, like, people love you for you, and I love that you're still, like, embracing that part while still doing, like, new things. And
yeah, it's nice to be able to look back on something, even if it was, like, uncomfortable or some parts weren't great. It's good to be able, like, one of the things I love about the podcast is it's allowed me to reclaim the parts that were fun and the parts that were positive, because you're not doing anybody a favor by, like, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, if you have a time in your life that was rough, you don't have to hate everything about that time.
Right. You can, like, look back and have, like, some fond memories of it and stuff. Sure. Or just, like, the impact you made. Like, you changed pop culture. Like, you were such a huge staple in pop culture and reality TV and all that stuff. Like, no one was doing, like, Holly's World. Like, no one was doing that except for, like, Anna Nicole. So it was, like, just you and, like, her having your...
I love the Anna Nicole show.
My favorite. My background is inspired by her bedroom. Bobby Trendy did it.
Bobby Trendy is so... You should have him on the show. He's so fucking funny.
I would love... Maybe he would sue me, though. I feel like this is his design in the back of her walls, her bedrooms. So and Howard K. Stern, like, ripped it down. He was just like, this is awful. This is trash. She was great. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I would absolutely love to have... Do you know him?
Bobby Trendy?
Yeah.
No, I've never met him. I just remember being such a fan of the show, and I would, like, scream, laugh at it. It was so funny.
He's so good. That show's crazy. So if there's one thing you could do, manifest, dream big, like your biggest dream, like, have you accomplished it, or is there something, like, crazy wild you'd want to do?
I mean, there's always something new. I don't know. I mean, I can only think of, like, little things off the top of my head. Like, I want to stay in the castle suite at Disneyland.
Manifest it. I feel like just talking about it can manifest. People are like, you can't just, like, talk about it and it comes true, but I think it is. Somebody will see it and they're like, Holly is Disney. Like, everyone thinks of you as Disney.
You'll find a way, some way.
Oh my God.
I want to build a house from scratch. I think that would be really fun.
Like, yourself?
No, but, like, design it.
Okay, not like...
not with a hammer now. You know what I'm fascinated by, though, is, like, back in the 30s, like, you could order a house from the Sears catalog and they would send you all the stuff and you just either build it yourself or hire somebody to build it. Isn't that so janky sounding? But there's houses still standing today. Like, one of Walt Disney's first homes is still in Los Feliz. You can go see it, and it's a great professional looking house, but it was ordered from a catalog.
What? And what, you could just order how you want it, or it's all like track houses, like you get the same catalog, like you pick this number, you all have the same number?
It's not custom. It's like they show different types of styles, and you're like, okay, this one, and they would, like, ship you all the stuff, and then you would hire somebody to build it. And that's so weird to me, because I feel like the chances for error are so strong. Like, I feel like it'd be like getting a desk from IKEA, and then some screw doesn't go on right, and then it falls down. But there's houses standing all over the country that were catalog mail order houses, and I just can't wrap my head around it.
But I feel like they were built better. When you think of older houses, they're built so good, and when you get, like, a new build house, like, they're like, he's an architect, he's like the new build is just, like, so bad, like, they just, like, crumble easier. Like, the foundation of those 30s homes are where it's at. But if you build a new house, what's your, like, dream thing? Like, what's the one thing you want in a house? Like,
I want it to look exactly like the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland.
That would be so cool. I feel like Michael Jackson, didn't he, like, maybe not Haunted Mansion, he might have done, like, Pirates of the Caribbean or Small World or something in his house.
Yeah, I don't know what his house looked like, but I remember he had, like, on his property, it looked like the train station at Disneyland. With,
yes.
Like, but instead of Mickey, it said Neverland and the flowers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What would you call it? Would you call it, like, what is it called? I keep thinking McCamey Manor. It's not that. What is it called?
Gracie Manor.
Gracie Manor.
I don't think I would name it, really. I think everybody would just kind of know it as, like, the Haunted Mansion house.
Would it look like it from the outside too?
No, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And inside or no?
Inside would be different, just because to make it functional, it couldn't look like the ride really. But
have you seen Gothic Baby on TikTok?
Yeah,
and they have the stretch room.
Yeah, that's so cute.
I'm like, how?
There's a house in Disney Springs in Disney World, and they did. They took me on a tour of the house, and they did all their rooms were themed. And then they have a room that's exactly like the stretching room in Haunted Mansion. Like, you can't tell the difference, but you open a secret door and there's a bar inside. It's so cool.
Oh my God. And is it just like open for people to go to, or you have to, like, know?
No, it's a private owner, like a friend of a friend.
Wait, was this in Disneyland or
in Disney World? There's a community on the property called Golden Oak that you can live in.
I've seen those. Yeah. But the houses don't look as fairy tale as I would think.
That's what I think. And they're so expensive. It's like Beverly Hills prices.
Like millions?
And I'm like, if I was going to live in Disneyland, like, I would want to build, like, a mini Grand Floridian or, like, a Haunted Mansion or something.
Haunted Mansion would be so cool.
Yeah.
That would be, like, the coolest. So you went to, like, a little Haunted Mansion. It was, like, I feel like Anaheim?
There's an Airbnb. It's, like, in Fullerton or somewhere down in Orange County. And it's just a normal house, but inside it's done like Haunted Mansion. It's so cute.
It's totally fun. Did you see the new movie?
Yeah,
Are we allowed to talk about the movie? I don't even know. People are like, you're not supposed to talk about movies. I don't know.
Well, I went to the premiere because it got turned into a fan event, but then I learned right after that I wasn't really supposed to go because of the strike.
Oh.
But I didn't really know because it was a fan event, so it's like confusing. So I didn't post anything from it because I want to be like on board with the strike. Like I'm supportive of the actors and everything, and the writers' strike as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't post anything, but
was the movie good? I have to see it. We're gonna see it.
It was really good. They incorporate a lot from the rides, so it's good.
Yeah, because I feel like the Eddie Murphy one. Now it's like going on a whole different tangent. We're just like on a Disney podcast now. Is there a Disney podcast? I feel like there must
probably quite a few unofficial ones. I
get into it. I do get so into. I get into it when I like know someone else is into it because I don't have anyone in my life that like loves Disney. But I know a lot of people will say like they love Disney and then their kids don't end up liking Disney. So I'm like, she's not in that phase yet. She doesn't like Mickey Mouse or anything. She's just likes Miss Rachel. So I'm like, maybe one day. All right, so you're gonna build the haunted mansion and stay in Cinderella's castle. Yeah. That's your manifestation. I love it.
I also want to go on every Disney cruise ship because my goal was to go to every Disney park around the world, and I did that. And then I did 2 Disney cruises last year, and I love them. And there's 6 ships, and I've been on 2 of the ships, so I have 4 more ships to try.
Do you get like, not in like a bad way, but like you're on a ship and like people see you and they're like fans? Are they just always like, to me, I'd be like, oh, Holly's there, let me just go up and like sit with her. Nobody
really cares. I don't think it's really the demographic. Like they love Josh because he's a Disney singer, so he gets all the attention.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh my god, because I would just think being on a cruise. I see like celebrities do cruises, like Donny Osmond does cruises, and I'm just like, but then you would always just want to like say hi to Donny, and like he's really nice. I'm sure he'd be down to it, but I don't know. I always think cruises sound like, just in general, even if you're not someone famous, you just see the same people, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to like see that person. You know what I mean? Like if you have issues.
Disney cruises are really nice, and I feel like too, like the first one I went on with Josh, it was like a vacation member club cruise. So there weren't a lot of people on it. It was smaller. But then the second one, it's like people with their families. So they kind of know that you're with their kids too and you don't really want to be approached. So it's kind of like nobody does it.
Yeah. God, his singing voice is so good. Yeah. He's like, you had the best cast. I think you have a knack of finding like good people, like people that are entertaining.
Yeah, it's fun.
I feel like you see so many characters.
Yeah. Sometimes it backfires though, because you'll meet somebody and you think they're so quirky and funny, and then they turn out to be a total like backstabber or crazy. It can go both ways. Like you can find amazing people, but then you're like, oh, I love this person because they're so quirky, and you're so in love with the quirk, you ignore all the red flags, and then they bite you in the ass 10 years later. And it's just like
that would be my like hesitant for any, I mean, just in general, people in my life, I'm just like, I don't know. And I think about people like Britney Spears too. It's like, she probably can't have any friends because like, who are you to trust? You know, everyone kind of like would sell you out in a minute, but I feel like you found pretty good people.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure, like Angel, Josh.
Yeah, for sure.
I love Angel too.
Like all my close friends have been close friends for like 10 years, 20 years. So
that's amazing. Yeah. That's like, you have good aura, good everything. Thanks. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being my
Thanks
first
for having
guest.
me. That was
I hope you come back.
Yeah, I would love to.
I want to be like Aurora. We could just talk about other stuff too. Although I have a million questions for you. I could go on and on and on.
Save them for next time.
Yes.
Save your little note cards.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
I literally have so many. I'm like trying to like really, I'm just like, here we go. And I'll keep listening to Girls Next Level. You guys check out Holly and Bridget, Girls Next Level. It is like I would say a millennial's dream come true, but like every generation would love it. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating. I think you guys are so funny. I love all your little drinks on the table. I wish we had a table here to show your drinks. So you know, the Baby Yoda cup and all stuff like that.
I love my Baby Yoda cup. Thank you so much. It's in Vegas. I don't have it here, but it's so cute.
What are you drinking out of it? There's one where it's like has like coffee and milk and
coffee. Yeah, well, I get an iced Americano. No calories, but then I put sugar-free Ready Whip on top, and then it starts to like fall down into it, so it starts to look like it's a latte or something, but it's really not. It's just an Americano with sugar-free Ready Whip.
And there's no calories?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Zero. I know you don't like talking about like body stuff a lot because you like it could be like triggering, because I know you said you didn't like doing the bounce back after baby thing.
Yeah, I think it's so misleading, and there's so many celebrities who just get the C-section tummy tuck combo and then wear 5 waist cinchers, and they're like, I snapped back, and it's like, go fuck yourself.
Wait, is that a thing?
Yes!
I want that. They told us I couldn't do a tummy tuck at the same time.
Well, I'm glad that I feel like the media has moved away from it. Thankfully, like at least I don't see it on the supermarket tabloids, but it used to be such a thing. And I did do like a body after baby shoot after my daughter, but then when I was pregnant again, I was like, you know what? I don't really love like the message behind it, so I don't want to do it again. It's just misleading.
I know.
And I just even hate the terminology like bounce back, snap back. It's just like
as if it's something wrong if you don't like right away or something like that. But I do think you'd be amazing, like little tips like that.
I'm honest about what I eat because I mean, and people could criticize either way, because sometimes I'll talk about food or what I eat or what I don't eat or what my diet is, and that is triggering for some people, and I understand that. But also, like, I don't want to be dishonest. Like if I'm, posting a picture of crumble cookies, I also want to let everybody know I don't eat this every day, because I feel like that it's dishonest, because obviously you're only going to post the fun food. You know, you're not going to post your boring salad. So I post the fun food, but I make sure to say it's my cheat day. And yes, there are some people who are triggered by that and think that's obnoxious, but I just think if I'm going to go one way, I'm going to be honest about how I'm eating, rather than being like, oh, look, I'm somewhat in shape and let's pretend I eat like this all day when
Yeah,
I don't. I just
every
think
day.
you just can't go wrong with being honest. So
It's much better, I think.
I
in this day and
understand it's
age.
triggering. If people don't want to hear it, they don't have to follow me or anything. But I just think I should be honest, I think.
I think you should get the tips, like the little sugar-free latte thing, because I love Starbucks, but I'm also like trying to lose weight and all this stuff like that. And I'm just like, gosh, I didn't know
There's
there was
a lot of calories in the Starbucks stuff.
So
Or you know what else
many.
I love to get? And I love, just because going to Starbucks feels like such a treat, but I don't want to, I'd rather get my calories other ways.
Of course,
I guess. So
yeah,
I get like a giant hibiscus iced tea. It's like the iced tango tea. Don't get the lemonade one, but just the plain one. And then I get the Dr. Berg electrolyte powders and put that in. And it tastes so good and so refreshing.
What is a Dr. Berg? I've never heard of that.
Oh, you have to watch Dr. Berg on YouTube because like any problem you have with digestion or something, he'll tell you what the cause is and what you can do and what supplements you can take, and then he sells stuff. So
What's it taste
I'm not
like?
pushing diet stuff. This is just what I do.
Oh, is it a diet thing?
No, it's not diet. It's just like electrolytes he sells for
What's
your
that?
water. It's just minerals and vitamins and minerals. And
It's like in
things
Gatorade
that.
too, right?
Yeah.
I always hear that, like electrolytes. And does it taste good?
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh my! You have to have a whole like Holly's drinks thing because like
that'd
I
be
follow
fun.
every
I
single
should
thing
do
you
an
do.
ASMR with like the ice and stuff.
You are so good at ASMR. Oh my god, that's what. Okay, I know we're wrapping
You know
it up.
what's funny
but-
though is like when people do the ASMR voice, it does some. I don't like listening to it. Like it scrapes on my brain. Like I know other people love it.
Oh, you don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, 'cause you're so
but
good
I don't
at
mind
it.
like an ice sound or something like
I
that.
love when they like make the drinks or like who's the person that does the salmon? She does like the salmon.
I don't know. But it's so
She's like the biggest ASMR. She does like cuts really quick.
Oh,
You haven't
that's so
seen
cool.
her?
No.
What's her? Emily Mariko or something.
Oh,
I
I've heard her name, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she does it so quick. You were so good at the ASMR when we did the McDonald's. You were like holding it to the camera and you were doing like
That
little
was fun,
ASMR.
yeah.
You're like feeding them. Have you seen the NPC trend?
Yes. It's
Have
so
you done
cute.
it?
I haven't done it. I feel like I wouldn't be able to pull it off, but I can see why people are successful because it's fun to see how people react, especially if they have the really cute things they say for each token. Like I can totally see why it's a thing.
I feel like you would be perfect.
I don't know if I'd be good at
Okay, if
it.
someone gives you like a hot dog, what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
You don't do the improv?
Well, hot dog's not the greatest example
Yeah,
because you
right.
just go to like all the wrong places, I think.
Like, okay, someone gives you like, I guess everything is like an ice cream cone. Then you're
I
just
want to
like,
get the cowboy hat and mustache and be like,
Oh.
yeah!
that was perfect. Can you do it in the camera? Like,
Yeah!
with the bounce?
Yeah. That would be my
Those are the
specialty.
most, not that,
That's
okay.
my favorite one to get is like the hat and the mustache because it just looks so silly.
It's so fun. And they have like a glittery one now, like a white cowboy hat that like sparkles.
cute.
Do you go live on TikTok?
Rarely. I think I've only done it twice in my life. And it's been if I'm like sitting in my car waiting for the kids to get out of school or something.
Right, oh, okay.
But I really have nothing to do. But I can
guys.
see why people do it and I can see why people enjoy it too.
I love it. I love it so much. It's actually so much fun. I think it's so
awesome.
fun. And I love that people are making like a living out of it. Like that's what's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Anyone can make a living off of TikTok and social media now, which I think is so cool and so fun. And I love that you're so relevant on there. You're so like on there. I'm
Thanks.
Like,
I wish I
yes.
posted more, but
You post a lot, I feel, for like how busy you are.
yeah, I feel like I want to have energy when I post and that's not
Yeah.
happening a lot these days.
No, you're busy. When does your show come out? The one that you haven't talked about yet. When does that come out? Do you know? Or
I don't even know yet because Playboy Murders season 2 comes out in January and then the
Okay.
other one will be after that.
Oh, after. Okay, well, hopefully I'll see you before then.
Yeah,
then.
for
You're
sure.
from- I mean, it's just Trish podcast. Thank you literally so much. I feel
Oh, you're
like
welcome. This is
the
fun.
curse has been broken. Like I haven't done an interview, like podcasting for so long. And I feel like anytime I like collab with someone, it always goes like crazy or weird. So I feel like the curse is broken thanks to you.
You should have Bridget on too. That'd be fun. You guys would have
I
fun.
would love. Now that she's doing the podcast, because I feel like she was like, wanting privacy for a minute. She kind of like, but I didn't know she. Yeah, I would love to. I would
that'd be
love
fun.
to have her on. Oh my god, it'd be so much fun. I always remember we're literally going, but I always remember the interview, The View, where they had you all sitting on the same chair.
Oh, yeah.
because we have one chair, and I was like, how are we gonna get people on? And I'm like, oh, you guys can sit together. But then I think right away, I think back to The View, and I'm like, how awkward. Like, why did they all make you sit like on top of
That
each
was
other?
so weird.
Was it? Were you guys like,
Well, it wasn't so weird in and of itself. What was weird is they told us to sit like that. And then the first question was, do you always sit like this? I'm like, girl, you told us to sit like
No.
this. So dumb.
wait, who asked that? Which one asked
Barbara
that?
Walters.
Oh my, did you say anything? Like, I would've been
No,
like,
because
you
I just
asked us.
didn't have the balls. Like, I wish I would have been like Dakota Johnson on Ellen and been like, you told us to sit like this. But back
Yeah.
then, nobody would have accepted that. I feel like the whole live show would have shut down. Like, you had to play by the rules or else.
Was it
people would
live
just-
though?
Yeah.
Oh, but that would have been such a perfect time
Yeah,
to like catch
that's
them
true.
off guard.
That's true.
I feel like you now would if they like made you do that. But then no one would make you do that now because I feel like back then they were just like could degrade you guys. And now
Yeah.
it's like people are like, no, you can't do that to women and stuff like that. Especially The View. They're kind of haters. I'm not gonna lie. Like still to this day, I'm like, can you all like chill? Like sometimes they're like such haters. And I'm like, y'all need to like relax, especially like women on women. I'm like,
Yeah, I feel like some content like that, it's just designed by nature to be that way. Or even when you see like Candace Owens ranting on TikTok, I'm like, do you really care about Meghan Markle that much? Jesus.
No, I know. It is.
Oh my God. Like it must get clicks.
That's the
because
only thing I think of.
Her and like Megyn Kelly, I think. I just see these TikToks where they're just ranting about Meghan Markle. I'm like, why though?
I know. And like, do people care that? I guess like you said it must get views, but I'm like, do people care that much? Like, especially what they have to say. I'm just like, leave her alone. Like at first, like you could say she's like cringy or whatever, but then you hear about this, you're like, oh my God, leave her alone. Like,
I know, it's too much.
She's literally like not doing anything. She's not doing her podcast. Like everyone just wants to like hate on people.
Yeah.
And women. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching Just Trish and Holly. Oh my God, this is like a dream come true.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Girls Next Level. Check it out. Bridget, if you want to come on, I love you. Josh, everybody, come over. It'll be so fun. Thanks for watching. Check out Girls Next Level. And we'll see you next time. And check out Holly's TikTok. It's so good. Maybe she'll do MPC. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.